So, the more I listen to Sam Harris talking on that little podcast, you know, the more I realize how poor education is in America. Because I know a lot of people look up to him as being very logical, intelligent, educated. I can't, for the life of me, see it, but that's what people say. So he likes to argue that, jihadists need to be eradicated. Of course, he fails to mention that, for the last 125 years, the Middle East has been used as a proxy ground for many, many wars. And that they've had to go through a lot of fucking shit. I mean, people, just read your history. I mean, it's happening here in South America, Mexico, Puerto Rico, Colombia, Cuba. Constant meddling from America. And most of the Western Hemisphere, actually. Most of the Western developed countries, actually. So, G7, Israel. They've been doing a lot of meddling. They like to assassinate people who are smart, people who are capable of actually stabilizing the situation. They like to assassinate these people, because the longer you can keep these people out of the picture, the more society falls to religion and becomes more and more desperate. It becomes less and less capable, and it's just easier to manipulate and or take over them that way. Like here in America, misinformation, disinformation attacks. But here in America, there's rules they gotta play by, so they can't just go around silencing motherfuckers and shit. Otherwise, Jimmy Kimmel, Colbert, Neil deGrasse Tyson, they'd be killing all you motherfuckers. Anybody with a brain, with half a brain in the United States would be dead by now. If, the United States government wanted to pull off what they were pulling off in the rest of the world. All you intelligent motherfuckers would be dead. The first ones to go. And then you just let society devolve on its own. You just make sure every time one of them pops up, pop them in the head. So, over time, these motherfuckers start getting smarter and smarter. They start ditching phones, this, that. They start getting real paranoid. Because now, anytime they get a social revolutionary, they got to do everything they can to protect that motherfucker. And most of the time, the way the game's rigged, all the Western civilizations always backing each other. America being able to veto, never having to enter into really any, binding agreements, really. Because, you see how they push all these countries like Africa and shit to go into the ICC and shit, but they themselves will not enter into it. Israel doesn't abide by the ICC. Fucking America doesn't abide by the ICC. They're not gonna abide by the ICC. They're just forcing everyone else to abide by the ICC, and they do it through virtue signaling and shit like that, using motherfuckers like MLK and this and this and that. Sam Harris does that shit all the time. A lot of people do that shit all the time. Yeah, we know we're fucking you over and we're destroying your lives. We're actively lynching you, burning you, and all that shit. But if you want to get across to us, you need to come to us like MLK Jr. did. You need to be able to rally all your people, make sure they're willing to have dogs set upon them, that they're willing to be lit on fire, that they're willing to be shot at. Then and only then will we accept that you could possibly be decent human beings. And then even after that, MLK Jr. died, got assassinated, and we're practically back in the same shit. A lot nicer. They're not as overt about it. But, as you can tell by the median household, also not letting you have a seat at the table. Just the illusion of a seat at the table, and it's done through celebrity status. Again, y'all forget y'all history. Celebrity is a propaganda arm of the military. Used to be celebrities weren't a thing. There never were celebrities. The military had to invest heavily into that to make that a thing. And then once it's stuck, it's stuck. Now there's celebrities, and they get paid a shit ton for making art. They're not even building a house, they're just making art. So, the world is the way it is. And they sell you on these things, you know, NFL, you know, basketball, you know. How many of you motherfuckers trying out are actually gonna fail? Just so that one guy that gets to the top can go and say, in America, you can achieve your dreams. Family will see all the other motherfuckers that failed on the way there. Talk about an ego trip. Shit, man. Yeah, I ain't playing that game, man. Fuck that shit. I'm getting the fuck out of here. You guys can have that shit. You need an Abe Lincoln? Go find him yourself.